In the event that you find yourself in the manager position for your first real project, it's important to be aware that it's not going to be the same as doing a class project. And while that might seem daunting at first, it's quite manageable once you get used to it. I've had to do so a number of times myself. Um, in general, you're going to want to keep three things in mind for your first project. One, this initial fear of the distinction between the two settings, real world and classroom, is only superficial for a bit. Second, the potential methodologies that you may want to employ for managing your project and making sure everything is done on time. And lastly, and most importantly, communication amongst your team. Now, firstly, you're going to want to understand and parcel out the difference between your classroom setting and real world. In the real world, according to machine design, there are definitely going to be certain limitations depending on your situation. Depending on the business you're working for, they may have certain deals with other companies. So the resources you have available to you might be a bit limited in comparison to if you were with just on your own. And the same might end up applying if you're just having your idea and pitching it to a company. There are certain aspects of your design that you'll have to tweak to accommodate this. On top of that, just working under a proper business brings one major problem: deadlines. However, this can be easily managed, as we'll talk about right now. Now, managing your project and making sure that the process is smooth is always easier said than done. Making sure that the right team members are working on the correct portions of the project is always a good idea. Have the specialists work in their specialties, as it were. Alternatively, the use of a Gantt chart to parcel out your timeline into smaller deadlines for specific parts of the project is always a good idea. By having the multiple deadlines for multiple portions, you end up minimizing the risks and problems that can arise through something like crunch time, which as a student you're probably all too aware of. Now, lastly, communication. You've probably heard it 1,000 times, but communication is key. Regardless of your field, it's important to further reduce errors in the duration of the product and ensuring a better product. The team needs to be able to communicate semi-regularly throughout the duration of the project, making sure everybody's keeping tabs on everyone. So you're aware of this deadline, and this deadline, while also making sure that your other associates are aware of their deadlines. This also ends up minimizing miscommunication, which would hopefully cause less course correction in the event that, say, something were to be miscommunicated and parts are placed in different areas, or something in design is messed up. By avoiding miscommunication, you're able to course correct very quickly and very easily without much fuss, which makes for an ultimately better project and a better team, hopefully, in the future, should you have to work with these people again. Now, in the end, it's important to keep these things in mind: communication, management tools, and just realizing that real world isn't the same as the classroom. Once you get used to it, it'll definitely be easier to do with every consecutive project. And I hope that helps.